Not every team sitting pretty in the standings right now is going to be there in January.
Broncos at the top at 8-2.
There are major concerns. Name Bo Nix. And when your quarterback is a concern, you got problems.
How about we cut through the noise and pinpoint the 5 real Super Bowl contenders that you need to take seriously and the 5 pretenders who are going to flame out when it actually matters. Contender Kansas City Chiefs. Never count out Patrick Mahomes. Look, I get it. The Chiefs are sitting at 5-4, and that number itself is just kind of wrong, at least for this team. The offense has been clunky at points this year, but they are getting healthy and finally starting to look dangerous. And come on, let's be honest. If you're writing them off, you haven't been paying attention for the last 7 years. This is a team with championship DNA woven into every fiber of their roster. Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, they've been there before, and they always figure it out. History shows us that Kansas City turns it on in November and December. That slow start does not matter when January rolls around, and there are signs that they are starting to hit their stride. They're only 3 games back of Denver with half the season left, and they own the tiebreakers in the division. At a glance, it may not seem like it, but the AFC West is still very much in play because, well, Mahomes is still Mahomes. And when the stakes get higher, the defense always seems to tighten up. They're not done. Oh no, not even close. Pretender, Denver Broncos. The Broncos are 8-2, tied for the best record in the AFC, and on paper, they look very impressive. But here's the cruel reality of the situation. Bo Nix is still a young quarterback, and he's really shown a propensity for the immature mistakes that signal playoff defenses are gonna expose him when it matters most. Look, Denver has really expedited its rebuild. Bo Nix was supposed to need time, but here they are with one of the best records in football. Credit where credit is due. That's impressive for a regular season story, but he's still learning, and playoff defenses are a completely different animal. What happens when the coverages get more complex? The pressure schemes start coming from angles that he hasn't seen yet, and the margins get razor thin. Let's be real about their schedule. They have been beating up on struggling teams all season long. Winning games in September and October against bottom feeders does not mean that you're ready for playoff intensity in January. Hey, Broncos fans, enjoy the good times while they last because reality is a-coming. Contender, Baltimore Ravens. After a brutal start to the season, the Baltimore Ravens are coming back and looking primed to make a playoff run against the odds. For starters, Lamar Jackson being healthy changes absolutely everything. And here's what no one's talking about. The defense has looked elite again. After a rough start where they were giving up points and yards in bunches, this unit has really started to lock it down. Baltimore is getting back to the physical, dominant Ravens defense that we're all used to seeing, and that makes them even more dangerous come playoff time. Yeah, they're currently 4-5, and yeah, that's their worst start since 2018, but I think context matters here. Lamar missed time with a hamstring injury that completely derailed their early season, and, well, now he's back, mobile, and the engine that makes this entire offense run. When he's healthy and moving, the Ravens are just a completely different team. And hey, there's some more good news for Baltimore. The AFC North is still well in reach with their rivals floundering. Pittsburgh is currently reeling, and now the Steelers and Baltimore are neck and neck for the division title. So if Baltimore can keep its hot streak rolling, and the Steelers continue to stumble, suddenly the Ravens are division champs hosting a playoff game. Pretender, New England Patriots. Drake May has been phenomenal, no questions about that. He's made clutch throws and won games that he had no business winning. Most recently, the statement win over Tampa Bay 28-23 as underdogs. People are crowning them as legit contenders. But you know, I think it's probably smart to pump the brakes on that hype. Being a year ahead of schedule is great for a rebuilding team, but that doesn't mean you're ready to win a Super Bowl. This is still just the first year of the Mike Vrabel era after all. And don't get us wrong, this is not just about May. The roster around him just sadly isn't built for playoff football quite yet. They do not have the depth. They do not have the playoff experience. And heck, they do not have the weapons to go toe-to-toe with elite defenses over 4 quarters when everything tightens up. This is a feel-good story, and it bodes well for New England's future. But if you think they're making a deep playoff run this year, well, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Contender, Philadelphia Eagles. The defending Super Bowl champions are sitting at 7-2 with the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they're proving that championship experience matters way more than style points. They can win pretty, they can win ugly, and they can grind out victories when it's a rock fight. And you know, that is exactly what championship teams do. This isn't a team riding a soft schedule or fluky wins. They're beating playoff caliber opponents in hostile environments. When the game gets tight and physical, they don't flinch because, well, they've been there before and they know exactly what it takes to get back to the top. The real question here is if they can lock down the number 1 seed in the NFC. Home field advantage throughout the playoffs and an extra week to rest and prepare is critical in that uber competitive conference. But in any case, Philadelphia is currently in the driver's seat. And with the way that they're playing, they are not giving it up. Pretender, Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 7-3 with a cushion in the wildcard race, but if you've watched this franchise long enough, well, you know exactly how this story ends. Their offensive line is decimated by injuries, and it is showing up at the worst possible time. Justin Herbert cannot stay protected, and when games get tight, the mistakes come in bunches. His untimely interceptions have become a bit of a pattern, and that is not something that you can live with in the playoffs. They just beat Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football, and people are hyping them up as a team that is finally different. But come on, folks, we've all seen this movie before. The Chargers always look good in the regular season. They always find a way to get into the playoff picture. And then, always, they find a way to blow it when it matters most. This wildcard cushion feels safe now, but give it a few weeks and we'll see one of two things happen. Either the Chargers will beat the Chargers, and we'll all be shaking our heads wondering how they managed to blow their lead and miss the playoffs, or they'll sneak in and get smoked in the first round. Look, sorry folks, but they just aren't a serious contender, at least not yet. Contender? Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions just retook the NFC North, and with Dan Campbell calling plays and the way that this roster is built, I don't think they're letting go anytime soon. Green Bay's offense completely collapsed. The Bears are trending in the right direction, but still scream a year away. And the Vikings, well, they're going to be an afterthought when all is said and done. Detroit's roster is stacked from top to bottom. The offensive line dominates. The defensive line gets after the quarterback. Heck, they've got weapons all over the field, and Dan Campbell has them very well coached. Seriously, when you have that kind of balance, you're just built for January football. Pretender, Green Bay Packers. It's been a rough go of it the last couple of weeks for Green Bay. Now that the Packers are 5-3-1 and their offense has completely fallen off a cliff, and they've now fallen into third place in the division. They scored 20 total points in their last 2 home games. 20. They lost to Carolina, who is 5-5, and then got beaten down by Philadelphia on Monday Night Football 10-7 at Lambeau Field in front of their own fans. Look, put simply, this offense is in free fall, and right now there is no signs of it getting any better. Contender, Seattle Seahawks. For the first time in a long time, there's a lot to be excited about in Seattle. Mike Macdonald has brought the old Ravens defensive blueprint to Seattle. Jackson Smith-Njigba is having a breakout season. And suddenly, the Seahawks are 7-2 and tied for the NFC West lead with LA. Let's start off with Macdonald. He was Baltimore's defensive coordinator from 2022 to 2023, and his 2023 Ravens defense was historic. And now he's bringing that same energy and elite defense to the Pacific Northwest. And then we got the man JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's currently leading the entire NFL with over 1,000 receiving yards through Week 10. This is the breakout season that Seattle was waiting for when they drafted him. Don't sleep on these Seahawks because, well, they are the real deal. Pretender, San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers were the preseason favorites in the NFC, and, well, now they're stuck at 6-4, limping through a crowded division and just hoping to stay healthy. Injuries have derailed this roster all season long. Every week, it's someone new on the injury report, and every week they're down another key player, and there is just no end in sight. Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, now Fred Warner? The effort and performance has been very impressive, all things considered, but you can't sustain a Super Bowl run when you can't keep your stars on the field. At some point, the depth runs out. And then you're just trying to survive instead of trying to win. Preseason expectations don't matter in November. What matters is who's healthy, who's playing their best football, and who's built for the long haul. Right now, San Francisco is none of those things. They're injury-plagued, they're in a crowded division, and they're trending the wrong way at the wrong time. And just trying to hang on and hope that they can make it to January in one piece. That's not a contender. That's a pretender hoping for a miracle. But hey, which NFL team do you think is a real contender? Which team do you think is the biggest pretender? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Is there any team that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. And hey, if you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.